In the quiet town of Willow Creek, Oregon, where the morning mist clings to the pines, Ethan Carter moves through life like a shadow. At 40, he carries the weight of a past most can't imagine. 8 years ago, as a combat medic in Iraq, Ethan braved a burning Humvee to save his brothers in arms, earning scars that now mark half his face and neck, a roadmap of courage etched in pain. After his discharge, he fled the spotlight, shunning veterans' gatherings to escape pitying stares. Now, he's a waiter at Willow Diner, a small brick building where the coffee's strong and conversations are soft. Each day, Ethan serves with quiet precision, approaching tables from his less scarred side, keeping words brief to avoid questions. He's not hiding, but he's not inviting attention either. Here, he's just Ethan, not a hero, not a tragedy. Yet, beneath the apron, a faded tattoo hints at a story untold. This is where our journey begins, in a place where scars speak louder than words. If you believe every story deserves to be heard, hit that subscribe button and join us to uncover the truth behind Ethan's scars. It's a bustling Saturday afternoon at Willow Diner, the kind of day where the clink of silverware and hum of conversation fill the air like a small-town symphony. Ethan Carter weaves through the crowded tables, his tray of iced teas and lemonades balanced with practiced ease. At 40, he's mastered the art of blending in, approaching customers from his less scarred side, his movements deliberate to avoid drawing eyes to the burns that map half his face and neck. 8 years ago, those scars were carved in a fiery Humvee in Iraq, a testament to the lives he saved as a combat medic. But here, in Willow Creek, Oregon, they're just a reason for whispers. Ethan feels the weight of every glance, every hushed comment, yet he keeps his head high, his expression a careful mask of calm. Today, though, the air feels different, thicker, charged with something he can't name. At a corner booth, a group of high schoolers from Willow Creek High sprawl across the red vinyl seats, their laughter sharp and careless. Jake Thompson, 17, with a smirk that spells trouble, nudges his friend Tyler, pointing subtly at Ethan as he refills water glasses 2 tables away. "Check out his face, man," Jake whispers, his voice low but not low enough. "Straight out of some zombie flick." Tyler snickers and their friend Emma rolls her eyes but doesn't stop them. Jake pulls out his phone, pretending to snap a selfie, but the lens is trained on Ethan's profile, capturing the jagged scars that twist across his cheek and disappear beneath his collar. "This is gold," Jake mutters, his thumbs already tapping to post the photo online with a caption that stings worse than the laughter. "Dinner and a horror show at Willow Diner." Ethan hears it all, his hearing sharpened since the explosion that took half his face, as if his body decided to compensate for what it lost. His grip tightens on the pitcher, but his face betrays nothing. Not the burn of humiliation that coils in his chest, not the memories of fire and screams that flicker behind his eyes. He moves to the next table, placing glasses with mechanical precision, retreating before anyone can ask about the scars, or worse, offer pity. Across the diner, at a quieter table by the window, Tom Harper sits with his son Ryan, a lanky 16-year-old who's more interested in his phone than his dad's lecture about SAT prep. Tom, a retired Army sergeant with 18 years of service, is mid-sentence when he notices Ethan delivering a plate of fries to a nearby family. The waiter's sleeve rides up as he reaches across, revealing a faded tattoo on his forearm, a medic's cross intertwined with the unmistakable emblem of the 4th Marines, Tom's old unit from Iraq. Tom's fork freezes halfway to his mouth, his breath catching as he traces the lines of Ethan's scarred face. Beneath the damage, there's something familiar, a ghost of a man he's heard about in stories passed around campfires and barracks. Recognition hits like a rifle's recoil. That tattoo, those scars, they belong to Doc Carter, the medic who pulled 5 men from a burning wreck under enemy fire, including Tom's eldest son, Michael, now a naval officer with a limp he'll carry forever. Tom's eyes narrow as he watches Jake's table, catching the flash of another photo, the muffled laughter that follows. Ryan, sensing his dad's shift, looks up. "What's wrong, Dad?" he asks. But Tom's gaze is locked on Ethan, who's now clearing a table, oblivious to the mockery, but not to the sting. Jake's voice carries again. "Bet he got those in some dumb accident, like a barbecue gone wrong." And Tom's jaw tightens. He sees Ryan glance at Jake's phone, a half-smile flickering before he catches himself. That's when Tom reaches across, his calloused hand closing firmly on Ryan's wrist, forcing the phone down. "Ryan," he says, his voice low, edged with a fury his son has never heard. "You're laughing at a man who's seen more hell than you can imagine." Ryan's smile vanishes, confusion clouding his face. "It's just a picture, Dad," he mumbles, but Tom shakes his head, his eyes still on Ethan's retreating form. "That's not just a picture. That's a hero you're mocking, and I won't let it slide." The diner hums on, plates clattering, coffee brewing. But for Tom, the world has narrowed to this moment. Ethan's quiet dignity, Jake's cruelty, and the truth that's about to unravel. This isn't just about a photo. It's about a debt unpaid, a story buried, and a chance to set things right. The air in Willow Diner feels heavier now, as if the laughter from Jake's table has left a stain that lingers in the fluorescent glow. Ethan Carter moves through his tasks with the same quiet precision, clearing plates and refilling coffee mugs, his scarred face a blank canvas hiding the storm within. At 40, he's learned to swallow the sting of mockery, but the words from Jake Thompson's crew, zombie flick, horror show, cut deeper than usual, slicing through the armor he's built since Iraq. 8 years ago, Ethan was Doc Carter, a combat medic who ran into a burning Humvee under enemy fire, pulling out 5 Marines, their screams echoing in his nightmares still. The explosion that scarred his face and neck was the price he paid for their lives, but in Willow Creek, Oregon, those scars are just a spectacle for teenagers with phones. Ethan senses the shift in the diner's rhythm, the way eyes dart toward him, but he keeps moving, his hands steady despite the ache in his chest. At the window table, Tom Harper sits rigid, his retired sergeant's instincts flaring as he watches Ethan work. The tattoo he glimpsed, a medic's cross with the 4th Marine's emblem, has unlocked a flood of memories from Iraq, stories told over MREs about a medic who wouldn't quit. Tom's mind races back to Fallujah, to the night his eldest son, Michael, was dragged from a flaming wreck. His leg shattered, but his life spared because of a man they called Doc. Michael, now a naval officer with a limp he'll never lose, spoke of that medic with reverence, describing a figure silhouetted against fire, fearless even as his own skin burned. Tom's eyes trace Ethan's scars, seeing not disfigurement, but a map of sacrifice, and the realization hits like a shockwave. The man serving coffee in this small-town diner is the hero who saved his son. Across from Tom, his younger son Ryan fidgets, still rattled by his dad's sharp rebuke moments ago. Ryan had laughed at Jake's photo, caught up in the moment, but Tom's grip on his wrist and the steel in his voice, "You're mocking a hero," have left him uneasy. "Dad, it was just a joke." Ryan tries again, his voice small, but Tom's gaze stays fixed on Ethan, who's now wiping down a table, oblivious to the scrutiny. "A joke?" Tom says, his tone low but heavy with disgust. "That man ran through hell to save lives, including your brother's. Those scars? They're proof he didn't run away." Ryan's face flushes, guilt creeping in as he glances at Jake's table, where the snickering continues. Jake, emboldened, snaps another photo, whispering something that makes Tyler choke on his soda. Tom's hands clench into fists, but he holds himself back, knowing anger alone won't fix this. Instead, he leans toward Ryan, his voice steady but urgent. "Listen, son, in war, you learn fast who's got your back. That man over there? He had Michael's and 4 others when the world was burning. You laughed because you don't know his story, but you're gonna learn it now." Tom begins to recount the tale, his words painting a vivid picture, a convoy ambushed, a Humvee engulfed in flames, and a young medic who kept going back, dragging men to safety, even as his own body paid the cost. Ryan's eyes widen, the phone in his hand feeling heavier with every word. He looks at Ethan again, seeing not the scars, but the man who carried his brother through fire. Meanwhile, Jake's latest photo hits social media, the caption crueler than the last: Willow Diner's freak show, free with fries. Ethan doesn't know it's there, but he feels the shift in the room, the way a mother pulls her kid closer as he passes, the way a couple whispers behind their menus. He's used to it, or so he tells himself, but each slight chips away at the life he's tried to build here. Tom, though, is done watching. He pushes his plate aside, his decision made. "Ryan, you're gonna make this right," he says, his voice leaving no room for argument. "But first, I need to talk to that man." As Ethan disappears behind the counter, Tom stands, his heart pounding with a mix of gratitude and fury. This isn't just about a photo anymore. It's about a debt that's been unpaid for too long, a hero who's been forgotten, and a truth that's about to break free. The hum of Willow Diner fades as the Saturday afternoon crowd thins. But for Ethan Carter, the weight of Jake Thompson's mockery lingers like smoke. At 40, Ethan has grown used to sidelong glances and whispered judgments about the scars that twist across his face and neck, relics of a fiery night in Iraq 8 years ago, when he pulled 5 Marines from a burning Humvee. Yet today, the sting of Jake's words, freak show, zombie flick, and the flash of his phone cut deeper, threatening the quiet life Ethan has carved out in Willow Creek, Oregon. He wipes down a table, his hands steady but his heart unsteady, unaware that across the diner, Tom Harper is about to set something in motion that will change everything. Tom, a retired Army sergeant, sits at his table, his coffee cold, his mind ablaze with the truth he's just pieced together. Ethan is Doc Carter, the medic who saved his eldest son, Michael, now a naval officer, from that same inferno. The sight of Jake's cruel social media post, already racking up likes and snide comments, fuels Tom's resolve. He can't let this stand, not for Ethan, not for the debt he owes. Ryan, Tom's 16-year-old son, sits across from him, his face flushed with guilt for laughing along with Jake's crew. Tom's story about Ethan's heroism has shaken Ryan, the image of his brother Michael's survival now tied to the scarred waiter he'd mocked. "Dad, what are we gonna do?" Ryan asks, his voice barely above a whisper. Tom doesn't answer right away. Instead, he stands, his broad frame casting a shadow, and makes his way to the counter where Sarah, the diner's manager, is tallying receipts. "Ma'am," Tom says, his voice calm but firm, "I need to speak with your waiter, Ethan. It's important." Sarah hesitates, her eyes flickering toward the kitchen where Ethan has retreated. "He's on shift, sir, and he's private about things," she says, her tone apologetic. Tom nods, understanding the walls men like Ethan build. He scribbles his name and number on a napkin, adding a single line. "From Michael Harper's father, you'll know why." Handing it to Sarah, he adds, "Please, make sure he gets this. Tell him it's about Fallujah." Sarah promises to pass it along, but Tom senses Ethan's reluctance to be seen, so he takes another step. As the diner's bustle softens, Tom pulls out his phone, opens a private Facebook group for Iraq war veterans, and begins typing. His words are raw, deliberate. "Today, I watched a hero serve tables while kids mocked his scars. Doc Carter, the man who saved my son in Fallujah, is enduring ridicule for the price he paid to keep Marines alive. We owe him better." He hits post, and within minutes, the message spreads like wildfire, shared across veteran networks from Oregon to Virginia. Comments flood in, stories of other medics, calls for respect, and questions about where to find this diner. By dusk, the post has reached thousands, a silent army rallying behind a man who's never asked for glory. Meanwhile, Jake's photo on social media, with its vicious caption, draws a different kind of attention. Veterans and military families stumble across it, their outrage swift and unrelenting. "That's a combat medic you're trashing," one comment reads. "He saved more lives in a day than you'll ever touch." Another demands, "Take it down and apologize, now." Jake, oblivious to the growing storm, laughs with his friends at the diner, but Ryan, still at Tom's side, feels the weight of his complicity. "Dad, I didn't know," he says, his voice cracking. Tom rests a hand on his shoulder. "You do now, son. Question is, what are you going to do about it?" As Ethan emerges from the kitchen, unaware of the napkin waiting for him or the digital tide turning in his favor, something shifts in the diner's atmosphere. A regular customer, usually quick to avoid Ethan's gaze, offers a small nod instead of a flinch. Sarah, clutching Tom's note, watches Ethan with new eyes, sensing there's more to her quiet employee than she ever guessed. Tom returns to his table, his mission far from over. He knows Ethan may not want the spotlight, but some truths can't stay buried. The napkin, the post, the growing chorus of voices, they're all sparks in a powder keg, and Willow Creek is about to see what happens when a community remembers what honor really means. For Ethan, tonight might just mark the end of his anonymity, and for Ryan, it's the start of a lesson he'll carry forever. Monday morning dawns crisp in Willow Creek, Oregon, the kind of day where the air carries a hint of change. But for Ethan Carter, it's just another shift at Willow Diner. Or so he thinks. At 40, Ethan has spent 8 years shielding his scars from the world, the burns on his face and neck a constant reminder of that night in Iraq when he saved 5 Marines from a burning Humvee, including Michael Harper, whose father Tom now knows the truth. Ethan steps through the diner's back door at 8:30, apron slung over his shoulder, bracing for the usual routine of averted gazes and whispered judgments. But as he pushes into the dining room, the sight before him stops him cold. The diner, typically sleepy on Mondays, is alive with a quiet intensity, tables filled with men and women in crisp military uniforms, from Marines to Navy to Army, their postures straight, their eyes fixed on him. Each table holds a small card beside the water glasses, the words, "Thank you, Doc Carter," written in bold black ink. Ethan's heart stumbles, his first instinct to turn back, to flee the attention he's avoided since Fallujah. But something roots him in place, a flicker of the courage that once carried him through fire. Sarah, the manager, approaches, her usual briskness softened by awe. "Ethan, these folks, they're here for you," she says, her voice catching. "I didn't know who you were." Ethan nods, mechanical, and ties on his apron, clinging to routine as his hands tremble slightly. He moves to the first table, where a Marine colonel rises, his silver hair gleaming under the diner's lights. "Doc Carter," the colonel says, his voice carrying through the silent room. "Thank you for not leaving anyone behind." He snaps a crisp salute, and Ethan freezes, the water pitcher heavy in his grip. After a beat, he sets it down and shakes the colonel's outstretched hand, the contact grounding him. One by one, the veterans approach, some from his old 4th Marines unit, others strangers united by respect. A Navy lieutenant, her dress blues immaculate, hands Ethan a small velvet box. "This was my dad's Purple Heart," she says softly. "He was in that convoy. He passed last year. But he told me to find you, to give this to the man who brought him home." Ethan's throat tightens, words failing him as he clutches the box. The diner's door swings open, and Tom Harper steps in, flanked by his sons, Ryan and Michael. Michael, now a naval officer, moves with a pronounced limp, a remnant of that night Ethan saved him. He crosses the room, his eyes locked on Ethan's. "You probably don't remember me," Michael begins, but Ethan cuts in, voice low. "3rd Humvee, shrapnel in your leg, tried to walk on it anyway." Michael laughs, a sound heavy with gratitude, and pulls Ethan into a brief, fierce embrace. Cameras flash outside. Local news crews have caught wind of the gathering, but Ethan barely notices. Tom nudges Ryan forward, the 16-year-old's face flushed with shame. Ryan's laughter at Jake Thompson's cruel photos feels like a lifetime ago, but the guilt is fresh. "Mr. Carter," Ryan says, his voice barely audible. "I'm sorry. I didn't know who you were. I was stupid, cruel. There's no excuse." Ethan studies the boy, seeing not malice, but a kid caught in a moment of weakness. "I forgive you," he says simply. "Just remember, Nobody chooses their scars, but we all choose how we treat each other. The room seems to exhale, the weight of Ryan's apology lifting a fraction of the past's burden. Jake and his friends, absent today, face their own reckoning online. Their mocking posts drowned out by a flood of support for Ethan, driven by Tom's viral Facebook post. Sarah watches from the counter, her earlier doubts about Ethan's front-of-house shifts replaced by pride. As Ethan resumes serving, pouring coffee with the same quiet dignity, the veterans return to their seats, but their presence fills the diner with something new. Respect, not pity. For the first time in years, Ethan feels seen, not as a scarred man, but as Doc Carter, the hero who never asked to be called one. Outside, Willow Creek buzzes with whispers of the morning's events, news vans jockeying for angles, but inside, it's just Ethan and the rhythm of the diner, now forever changed. This moment, raw and unscripted, is a testament to what happens when truth breaks through silence, when a community chooses honor over judgment, and when one man's scars become a badge of courage for all to see. The sun sets over Willow Creek, Oregon, casting a golden glow through the Thessaloniki window of Willow Diner, where Ethan Carter wipes down the last table of the day, his scarred hands moving with the quiet rhythm he's honed over years. At 40, Ethan has carried the weight of his past, a combat medic's courage etched into the burns that mark his face and neck from saving 5 Marines in Iraq 8 years ago. But the events of this week have shifted something deep within him. The Monday morning when veterans filled the diner, saluting him as Doc Carter, and thanking him for lives saved, including Michael Harper's, lingers like a melody he can't shake. Ethan had braced for the attention to fade, for Willow Creek to slip back into its old habits of whispers and averted eyes, but the town has other plans. The diner's door now bears a new sign, hung by manager Sarah. Proud to serve with American hero Ethan Carter. Customers who once flinched at his scars now request his section, their smiles genuine, their questions about his day, not his past, warming a corner of his heart he'd long kept cold. Tom Harper's viral post, sparked by the cruel mockery of teenager Jake Thompson and his friends, has transformed the diner into a pilgrimage site of sorts, drawing veterans, military families, and locals eager to shake Ethan's hand or simply share a meal in his presence. Yet Ethan remains Ethan. No speeches, no spotlight, just a man serving coffee and clearing plates, his quiet dignity a rebuke to the years he felt invisible. He's declined invitations to ceremonies, including a Pentagon letter hinting at a long-delayed Medal of Honor, tucking it into his locker with a shake of his head. "I don't need medals," he tells Sarah one evening, his voice soft but firm. "I need days where I'm just me." But normalcy, he's learning, doesn't mean hiding. Inspired by Ryan Harper, Tom's 16-year-old son, who apologized for laughing at Jake's photos with raw sincerity, Ethan begins to open up. Ryan and his classmates, once part of Jake's cruel stunt, now volunteer at the diner, passing out flyers for a fundraiser supporting wounded veterans, their chatter filling the air with purpose. Sarah donates the diner's back room for weekly first aid classes, and Ethan, after some hesitation, agrees to teach. Watching teens wrap tourniquets and practice pressure bandages, skills he used under fire, stirs a pride he hasn't felt since Iraq. One morning, as he ties on his apron, Ethan finds a handwritten card on his break room chair. "Your scars are medals we can't wear for you." It's unsigned, but Ryan's earnest scrawl is unmistakable. Through the service window, Ethan sees Ryan and his friends at a table, not with phones raised to mock, but with notebooks open, listening to an off-duty paramedic Sarah invited to assist. Jake, humbled by the online backlash and his own reflection, joins them quietly, his bravado replaced by a tentative respect. Ethan watches, a faint smile breaking through, the first in years that feels unforced. Willow Creek itself has changed. Neighbors greet Ethan by name. News vans have moved on. But their stories about the hero waiter still circulate, shared across social media with hashtags like #HadHonorTheScars. Sarah, once unsure about Ethan's front-of-house shifts, now boasts about him to every new hire. Her apology for past doubts accepted with Ethan's simple nod. Tom and Michael stop by regularly, not to relive the past, but to share a burger and talk about football or Michael's latest Navy assignment, treating Ethan as a friend, not a savior. As Ethan locks up one night, the diner empty, he pauses at the sign by the door, its words catching the streetlight's glow. For so long, he wanted to be just Ethan, not a hero, not a tragedy. But now he sees value in being seen, scars and all. His wounds, once a source of shame, have become a bridge to others, proof that courage endures beyond the battlefield. This small-town diner, once a refuge from his story, is now where it's told. Not with fanfare, but with every plate served, every lesson taught, every hand shaken. Ethan steps into the cool night, the stars above Willow Creek bright and unyielding. Like the truth that no scar can hide, honor lives in those who carry pain yet choose kindness. And so, to anyone who's ever been judged by their surface, know this. Your story matters, your wounds are not your worth, and somewhere, someone sees the hero you've always been. As the lights dim in Willow Diner and Ethan Carter steps into the quiet of Willow Creek's night, his story lingers, a reminder that heroes walk among us, their scars telling tales of courage too often unseen. Ethan, the combat medic who saved lives in Iraq, faced mockery for his burns, but found honor through a community's awakening, sparked by Tom Harper's stand and Ryan's redemption. From Jake's cruel photos to veterans saluting Doc Carter, this journey showed us that judgment can blind, but truth can heal. Now, it's your turn to carry this forward. Have you ever been misjudged for how you look or what you've endured? Share your story in the comments. Let's shine a light on the strength beneath the surface. Post with #honor the scars to spread this message of respect and kindness. Subscribe to our channel for more stories where ordinary moments reveal extraordinary hearts, because every scar has a story, and every story deserves to be heard. Join us, and together, let's honor the heroes hiding in plain sight, right here, right now.